Welcome to Council Connection. I'm Dean Brookie, Mayor and Durango City Councilor. This program is designed to give you a snapshot of the happenings at the most recent Durango City Council meeting. This time we look at the October 20th meeting. This meeting began with a presentation from the Durango Police Department on a grant request for a peace officer mental health program, as well as development of a department co-responder team.
It's called the CORE team. Chief Brammer, I know, has already talked to council about the CORE program, which teams a specially trained police officer with a mental health professional. This will be a joint venture between the Durango Police Department and Access Mental Health. And again, a two-person team, sworn officer with CIT training, which is crisis intervention team, and a mental health clinician. And the team will respond to people in crisis because of any combination of the following three statuses: suffering from mental illness, affected by a substance abuse problem, or experiencing homelessness.
The officer and mental health professional will operate out of a specially equipped van. A state grant is being sought to provide counseling services to peace officers in times of personal or professional crisis. Our consent agenda had 12 mostly routine items. None were removed for further discussion, and all were approved. The major item of the night was a legislative public hearing and discussion on amendments to the vacation rental home policies contained in the Durango Land Use and Development Code. Most vacation rentals are located in established neighborhoods 1 and 2.
The amendments before you are not major changes to the program. Over the past 6 years, we've learned some things. We've had to make judgment calls on how to apply the standards in unique situations. And really the intent now is to get a lot of those interpretations into code, and then make adjustments, again, in line with the housing plan and some of the things we've learned about where these vacation rentals work well and do not work so well.
Among the two major changes is removal of vacation rentals from higher density residential zones. There are also a number of minor changes proposed. Council received some public comments on the changes.
Well, in general, we don't support policy revisions that further restrict vacation rentals as a permitted use. We do appreciate staff's efforts to clarify some of the components in the code language that are presently unclear. We do support revising the parking requirements in EN1 and EN2 to allow tandem parking.
I think it's great that the tandem parking requirements are being allowed now. We tried to get that done when I was on council back in 2014. I think that's great. I think they should be expanded beyond EN1 and EN2 to any vacation. I don't think you minimize that to simply EN1 and EN2, but if it's a rule, let's make it a rule for all properties.
After lengthy discussion, councilors voted 3-1 to direct the city attorney to prepare an ordinance for the changes, with Councilor Bettine recusing himself and myself voting no. I feel we didn't adequately evaluate the opportunities for vacation rentals in other neighborhoods as part of these changes. The only quasi-judicial hearing on the agenda concerned a continued public hearing on the Cummins initial zoning and conceptual plan. You may recall this is a patio home and townhouse development proposed for the southwest corner of Florida Road and Colorado Drive. The hearing was not held. The developers have withdrawn the project for now.
The developers were in communication with some adjacent property owners, and they decided to withdraw. They're working on a redesign of that project, and they plan to resubmit and go back to Planning Commission, and then they'll be before you with a different design in the next few months.
During reports and actions, I gave an update on COVID-19. Back in the spring, I talked about how we were facing one of the greatest challenges of our lifetimes because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are still in the middle of that fight, and we will be there until there is a vaccine. Here in Durango, we're doing our part to stop the spread. Since the pandemic began, we've been working hand in hand with San Juan Basin Health to embrace public health guidelines. We've instituted common sense measures throughout the year. Now, as communities around Colorado, the country, and the world face new waves in the pandemic, it is important as ever to base our actions on the expertise of medical professionals and take care of each other. Our community has certainly been affected by this virus. While we haven't seen the same impact as other cities and towns in Colorado, We also know how difficult it would be to manage a widespread outbreak in our community given our location and hospital services. That's why, with ski season coming up and new rounds of visitors coming to our community, we need to continue to take common sense measures based on scientific and medical recommendations. It's also why we need to keep looking out for people most at risk of exposure. For instance, we know that restaurant workers have been the most vulnerable aside from healthcare workers in Durango. This is serious. It isn't a partisan or ideological issue. It's a test of how our community will continue looking out for each other and keeping each other safe. Here's another significant reminder. Election Day is November 3rd. Ballots were mailed earlier this month to registered La Plata County and Durango voters. They can be deposited at several locations, including at the county clerk's office in Bodo Park or at the county administration building at East 2nd Avenue and 11th Street, no later than 7 p.m. election night. If you plan to mail your ballot, you must do so no later than October 26th so it arrives on Election Day. You can track your ballot to see if it has been accepted by going online to laplatavotes.com. For other questions, visit govotecolorado.gov. Due to the election on Tuesday, November 3rd, our next regular council meeting will be Monday, November 2nd at 6:30 p.m. Our next study session will be Tuesday, October 27th at 4 p.m. You can find agendas for meetings online at durangogov.org/meetings. And that's Council Connection for the October 20th Durango City Council meeting. I'm City Councilor and Mayor Dean Brookie. Thanks for joining us, and remember, you can always contact your city councilors via email at citycouncil@durangogov.org.